So I'm going to talk about tips we can use in the classroom to support procedural fluency. So remember, a big part of fluency is the focus on strategy selection and flexibility. So one way we can do that is actually post a worked example. A worked example can showcase a way that students aren't necessarily using as often as you'd like to see them using it. So you showcase a student's work that uses this unfamiliar strategy, and you ask students in the class to examine it, make sense of it, does it work, and then importantly ask, why did this student solve it this way? So they can see the thinking behind that strategy. A good example of this is with subtraction. If you have subtraction that involves regrouping, if you use a standard algorithm like 57 minus 29, a worked example could show adding 1 to adding, sorry, I forgot my example. Let me go back. 57 minus 29. If you add 1 to both of those values, you get a minus 30 on the bottom and eliminate the need to regroup. So showing them that they could adjust the problem, and if they can understand why that works, then that becomes a strategy they can use. This is a great support to students who struggle with other methods, and that is a nice way to introduce a strategy students aren't using, worked examples. Another thing you can do, I call it strategizing first steps. Strategizing first steps is just putting a problem up. It could be a really long equation that you would use in algebra, and it's got to be simplified. And then you just ask students, what would you do first? Only your first step, nothing more, just your first step. Talk to a partner. And then you just list first steps. And then you talk about which of those first steps is a good idea, which one's efficient, and then you can just move on. So with both work examples and strategizing first steps, the students aren't actually working the problem. That's a focus on accuracy, which is fine, but both of those focus on strategy development and strategy selection. So it helps us be focused on some aspects of fluency that are commonly neglected. There are other number talks are very good for working on flexibility because students see different solutions. One way to maximize the fluency focus in a number talk is simply ask, which of these strategies is efficient? Which of these might you use on a problem? When is this strategy a good strategy to use? So sometimes in our number talks, because we're limiting the time, we forget to ask those questions that help with strategy selection and flexibility. So that is 3 ways that we can really shift our focus so we aren't neglecting 2 of the 4 important components of fluency, strategy selection and flexibility.